Would you like to support Cubs Out Loud? One way is to join us over on Patreon. For as little as $1 a month, patrons get early access to our shows, the pre and post show, and various other rewards. You can learn more at patreon.com/Cubs Out Loud. Thanks to all our patrons for their support in making this podcast. It's Sunday, March 22nd, 2026. I'm Jeff.
Who's your bear? That's right. I am your bear.
Damon.
I don't brew the tea, I just serve it.
And that makes me Gary.
Everyone else is thinking it, and I just say it.
And welcome to Cubs Out Loud, the Bear Podcast of Indeterminate Length, episode number 819. And, talking about what we're talking about this week, last week for me, wouldn't it have been great considering the condition I was in? So, unfortunately, we had to delay this a week, but it's still appropriate because we're in the month. But we're gonna put the thing. There it is. Let's talk about food.
Yeah.
Gary, what food are we talking about today? That would be in March, maybe somewhere in the middle of it.
Well, we're not talking Reubens.
And
And we're not talking... oh, wow. That's horrible. I completely forgot what the name of those things are. Boxy potatoes. So, no, it's not anything to do with St. Pat's Day. It's before that is the nerdy holiday. So, back on March 14th, it was Pi Day.
Oh.
Yeah, it's 3.1459 something.
3.1415.
Oh.
9273.
Close.
I almost want to
Close.
say.
You're doing good, David. I mean, if you round up, you kind of get there. But anyways.
Yeah.
3.141592655 if you go to the 10 digit. I didn't want to go too long.
Yeah. I was sitting here like, I always knew 14159 because for some reason in my brain that's I remember, but it's the once you get past that, I think 3. Like I said, 3 was it's the rounding, yes, but
Yeah. So, anyways,
Interesting.
believe it or not, when we've talked about food, we've never talked about just pies. We've talked about pie several times in all sorts of different episodes. And in 776, we did a cake versus pie discussion.
Mm-hmm.
But I wanted to give pie the spotlight.
I think we determined that pie was the superior of the two in that episode.
I mean,
not to say that cake is bad, just pie is much better.
for me, I say yes, pie is better than cake, but that's because I'm particular about cake.
Mm-hmm.
If I remember correctly,
but
the disagreeer also chose a lot of pies in that episode.
yes. Yeah. Occasional. It's funny because I do like cake, but it's hard to. We're not talking about that. We're talking about pie.
Is it hard to find good cake? Is that what you were gonna say?
It's hard for me to like specify what type of cakes I like. give me a this kind of pie or cake. This give like this. There are different kinds of cake, absolutely, but like typically
I
when I
mean,
think about pie, you can be more specific in a way. I don't know.
when it comes to cakes, I mean, for me, they've got to be thick and jiggly to start with. So,
I mean that too. That's a different thing.
anyways, so let's get into this. We've got 3 categories. Well, 2 categories and honorable mentions. No one is shocked by this. Um, let's jump into savory pies. Yes, believe it or not, there are things called savory pies. They do not all have to be sweets or desserts. So, and the essence of a pie is a dish that has multiple layers and typically a crust, but not always. Because there are such things as crustless pies. I know it may sound confusing to people, especially outside the US. American culinary tastes are wild, people. So just, hang on. It'll be okay.
I might be a little contentious later on in the episode, but we'll get to that later.
Okay. So starting us off, Jeff, what is your fave savory?
I had a kind of trouble just trying to think of specifically like what type of savory pie I would like, and I just kind of came up with the standard shepherd's pie.
Mm-hmm.
Well known, it's a pie, it's shepherdy.
It's a pie and it's shepherdy. And it's great way to put it.
And it's good, and it's one of those things where it's not like it's something that I'm constantly trying to make or anything at all or go out to get, but mainly because something I'll mention later in the honorable mentions just feels very standard, and this is a little special considering. But a shepherd's pie. I don't really have much to say about it. Just I like
it. It's funny. I'll have to look it up again. But it's funny you mentioned shepherd's pie because I was just watching. I think he does Tasting History. He's on YouTube.
Max Miller.
He just did an episode on maybe not just, but he recently did an episode on shepherd's pie. And kind of did one of the original ones, and I just find it very interesting. I am a fan of shepherd's pie, and I will also blame Jim for that too, because he tends to make them. But I almost don't. Would a shepherd's pie be a traditional pie?
What do you mean?
Yeah, it kind of doesn't have a layer. It doesn't have. It just has a top crust.
Yeah. I think it's colloquially called a pie. But have I seen some that have a crust? I don't think so. That's fine. I'm reading some other ones because the thing I remember from the episode was like there was the cottage pie, and as well as the shepherd's pie, and the cottage pie is I think what some could call what we know as today as a shepherd's pie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but anywho, I want to see if I can find that video, but I'll wait until after I'm done. Well, I'll wait to go ahead, Gary.
No, it's fine. I went in a different route. I went with quiche.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Because to me is a quintessential 24-hour-a-day savory pie. Most people, I think of quiche as like a brunch thing, like on a weekend. And I'm here to tell you, baby, you can have it anytime you want. You can have it hot. You can have it cold. You can have it like table warm. It's completely up to you. It's basically an egg base with your fixins, whatever you want to put inside of it, more meats, cheeses, veggies, not so much fruit, seasonings, and yes, it is like an all-time favorite for me. They come in different sizes. You can have like little, like tiny, like 2-3 bite ones, mini quiches. You can have, bigger ones for sharing, if that's a thing. So yeah, they're one of my go-tos, and I'm actually more intrigued if they get. I don't know what I want to say about this. If they go non-traditional, and by non-traditional I mean like ham and Swiss is a classic one.
Mm-hmm.
Cheese and broccoli is another one. So if you decide to, shake it up somehow, but yeah, for sure.
There's a restaurant here. There's a restaurant here, Bistro, that Jim and I go to often, and they have a daily quiche. That's an all day like quiche, and sometimes it is. They basically do it two ways. They usually do it with meat or without meat. So it's like a garden vegetable like quiche with or without chicken, or with or without ham, or yeah. I think when they had pepperoni, and I was like, I don't know how I feel about that, but it works.
Ooh, that could be fun.
Mm-hmm.
Like diced up pepperoni with sun-dried tomatoes and some mozz to give you like an Italian-y kind of pizza vibe. Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah.
See, this is what I mean. You can have fun. You can experiment. You can get crazy with it if you really wanted to. Now, whether or not anybody else is going to eat your quiche is another story.
Were you about to say eat your pie?
Yes. Well, it is funny because I realized looking it up online, there's going to be some of those. Well, actually, quiche is considered a tart, which is not a pie, but I don't care.
I don't know. I just asked Gemini for a list of savory pies, and quiche Lorraine popped up. So
yes,
yeah.
Gosh, again, the coffee shop at my the old coffee shop where I worked had a tasty quiche Lorraine. I don't know where they got it from, but it was always good. Anyway,
shit. Now I want to go make a quiche. All right.
This remind me of something else. So I might be typing some questions to my trusty assistant here.
Well,
what is your favorite savory choice?
So I know we had actually. I think we talked about these a little bit ago, but chicken pot pie. I am a fan of the sort of, again, we're going savory, so like obviously a thicker cream base, chicken, veggies, a layer, like a crust, and then like a layer on top. I'm a fan of a really good, well-made chicken pot pie. We haven't had I haven't had a long-term, that sounds bad, like a really good baked like chicken pot pie in a while. Believe it or not, KFC's one. I had KFC's when I was growing up, so it's kind of my staple in my head. So that's kind of one I remember the most. It's not the same, and it's not like great. It's mass produced, but it's one that I'm familiar with and one that I like. And then even now, I kind of enjoy a good like pot pie. I tend to think of when I want like a savory pie, I think I like a more crust. That kind of helps me with the pie sort of idea behind it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's me.
I mean, that's fair. There's something to be said for like the composition.
Mm-hmm.
I think one of the things I love about a pot pie is that it's part of that savory kind of like crossover between like stew and biscuit and like dumpling kind of like family of foods, so to speak.
Yeah. What a crust.
Yeah.
Anyway. There we go.
Nice.
See, I love how we're talking about this, and now I'm hungry.
Strangely enough, I did not eat before recording. So.
Oh.
Well.
Yeah, that's interesting because I did eat earlier today, and that's where I'm like, great. Now I feel like making a quiche. I'm also not that hungry, so that's a weird feeling.
You're not gonna make it this late.
Oh, don't doubt things. This past week, I was making cookies at like 4 a.m.
And
story.
And quiche is good for the quote unquote midnight snack.
I mean, it's good anytime technically, but
yeah, exactly. I mean, that's why it fits in the midnight snack a lot.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably better than popcorn.
True.
Wait, there's a time and a place. What? David's broken.
We're about to go off
maybe
on
a little bit better for you, I should say.
Now I think I understand what you're saying. I mean, in theory, to fill yourself up on popcorn would be better fiber and possibly less calories than to fill yourself up on quiche. So,
because you get a lot of protein from quiche, which will fill you up longer.
Sorry, I have this really. All right, I'm just going to say it. This inappropriate thought. Does anybody on Growler have the nickname quiche?
Wow,
that's fair.
Because they're best served on Sunday morning for brunch. Anyways.
Wow. Wow. Go off. Okay.
Moving on.
Shall we move on?
What about being a sister of perpetual indulgence? Sister Mary Quiche? Not to be confused with Quiche. Anyways, moving on. Favorite sweet pies. It's a wild one, y'all. We haven't been here in a couple weeks. All right. Jeff, what about you for a sweet pie? What is your fave or one of your faves?
Call me a generic American apple pie.
Mm-hmm.
I love me. Well, here's the thing: I like the filling more than I like the crust when it comes to an apple pie. Okay. So, my mom always made this thing called an apple crisp, which is basically essentially apple pie filling topped with like a streusel.
Okay. Yeah.
In some sense, it is an apple pie without a crust. But like when I go to if I ever pick up one of those like Hostess hand pies, I think we talked about these type of
yes
of the fruit pies. I usually lean towards the apple ones. Those are my favorite. Warmed up, nice and warm. I do not subscribe to the cheese on apple pie.
So, if we're going to talk about hand pies, and we're going to talk about apple pies, and we're going to talk about warm, I just want to have a moment of silence for the McDonald's original apple pie. The molten lava wrapped in dough.
And fried.
Yes.
Deep fried.
In lard. Back in the day, that would just sear your mouth, take a layer off your tongue.
Pour one out for the street. I talked about this.
And just
know
so
you
I
did.
didn't make a mess, I made sure to top my hand.
I saw that. Put the top on.
Man, we remember that pie. And the funny thing is, I think other places are now sort of serving that similar pie. Maybe not the deep, like maybe not the fried and lard version, but like they're definitely like serving the like very crispy, like served in or deep fried um, apple pie. And yes, absolutely, 100%. I think there's something. The reason I think it works so well is because it's such a classic like combination of flavors that most people will enjoy, unless you're allergic to apples. But like I don't know. I've not seen anyone allergic to apples. I'm just mentioning it as like no one would want an apple. If you don't, you wouldn't want apple pie if you're allergic. I mean, you might want. Never mind. Anyway, um, the it's such a like a staple in our life. I think in American life. I would generally be surprised if no one has not had an apple pie. It's again, yes, possible, but like I think it would be really rare.
At least once.
Yeah. You can get it, like we literally just said, you can get apple pie at McDonald's. You can get it anywhere and everywhere.
And I prefer the types of apple pie which have the crumb crust instead of like a lattice or the full dough coverage.
It's flaky, yeah.
The Dutch apple pie, I think people call it.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's like an apple pie that's was made in the Netherlands. That's Dutch. I think it is because it was Dutch. I don't know. Don't quote me on that. Hold on, let me double check.
I don't know.
Just so folks are aware, because I'm literally checking online right now. Like Damien was saying, Popeye's Louisiana Kitchen, which is a fast food chain here in the U.S. that's like Southern Kitchen focused, has cinnamon apple pie.
Yeah, that's the one I remember. I know that they have it. I think somebody else has it. Is it Sonic? No, it's not Sonic. They have.
I know that's why I started looking online, because I'm like, I know some places have some things.
They have a dessert. No, it's not Sonic. Anyway, it's fine.
So that's great entertainment we have here.
Okay. So there's two origins to Dutch apple pie. They actually did make it in the Netherlands. But probably didn't actually the crumb-topped Dutch apple pie found in most American bakeries today isn't actually from the Netherlands. It's an invention of the Pennsylvania Dutch.
Fair.
We're actually German immigrants.
Yep.
That's the thing.
So the type of pie is that I'm referring to is the Pennsylvania Dutch apple pie.
Apple pie.
Like
nice.
Just so you know, KFC does have a thing called pie poppers. If you have not seen these,
yes, I have.
They're like little mini bite size,
like almost like rucola.
Yeah, it's crazy because it's like little itty bitty pies. They're like 1 or 2 bite things, and they come in a 4-piece or, of course, a 10-piece if you're adventurous. What's interesting is in the description it doesn't say what they are, but clearly look at them. I'm like, that looks like apple.
Yeah, there's one they had cherry. The one near me has cherry.
Interesting.
Yeah, because I laugh because it's essentially cherry poppers. Here all night. Gary, what about you?
So I just made this recently for this is part of what prompted the show. We did a pre-pie day celebration at work, um, because we work in public health and we're kind of nerdy. So on Friday the 13th, we did a pre-pie day celebration where people could bring in pies and they could either make them or buy them. It did not matter. And they could be savory or sweet. I made two versions. I made a savory and a sweet. No, I did not make quiche. Related what I made. But I did make the sweet, which is peanut butter chiffon. So this goes back. Peanut butter chiffon is an 80s pie. In the late 80s into the early 90s, worked at a restaurant. I've talked about it before, I think, because Damon would know. Long ago, there was a company called Kaufman's as a department store, and in some of their establishments, they had a restaurant called the TikTok restaurant. It was clock themed. And they had like clocks all over the place. Anyways, at the mall here in town, at the Coffins, it was a 2-story with an escalator. On the second floor is where the restaurant was. My grandmother had worked there. That's how I ended up working there. I started as a dishwasher, and then I became a server, helped in the kitchen. And if you remember, Damon, maybe a month, 2 months ago, we were kind of talking about like food and nostalgia and stuff, and I ended up looking on eBay, and I found a cookbook for them.
Yes.
And baby, this recipe was in the cookbook, and it was like the best $15 I invested in an auction. When that book came, I was so happy because I got to make the soup. Like, it is just nothing but nostalgia for me. And it had peanut butter chiffon pie in it, and I was like, yay! So, anyways, I made it and I took it to work, and everyone was really pleased and surprised because it is not heavy. It is very light, hence the chiffon. Like, it's very light and fluffy, and it's not super like dense or overpowering in flavor of peanut butter. Because we are of an age, at least I don't know for you, Jeff or Damon, but in my area, in the 80s into the 90s, peanut butter pie was a thing in my town. Like, once it started to take off, everybody had a version. Like, you just couldn't get away from it.
My family was very apple-y. We had things. We had apples everywhere in the kitchen. It was a common theme.
Yeah. I don't remember us having peanut butter. I don't remember peanut butter being a big thing, like a pie or like the craze, as it were. But I do remember. I'm trying to think.
I don't want a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. I got some raspberry jam.
Funny.
That's
I would love to. I'd love to like try this pie. I'm reading a recipe. I'm curious. Very curious. I don't know. I'm curious. I like peanut butter. I love peanut butter actually, but I'd be curious. All right. My turn. So I had to pick two. Sorry, y'all.
I saw.
These are like staples from childhood, and one I don't have nearly as often. Sort of a combination of them that I know of. But anyway, so I put down chess pie and pecan pie. Chess pie is basically like a sugar custard pie. And you can do it with or without meringue. My dad used to make them, sometimes for our church, but sometimes at home. It's just a classic flavor that I know, and it's simple and basic, but it's good. And then I don't know, then you have pecan pie. And that's just always been my go-to sweet pie. Well, I love a fruit pie. Give me a pecan pie. I love like a nutty. We talked about peanut butter example, but like I love like a nutty, woodsy kind of flavor, and then obviously a sweet pie. And then I tend to think of the combination of the two as like a derby pie, which I will probably add here. I am from Louisville, Kentucky. I think we are the only. I think Derby pie is if I'm remembering correctly, Derby pie is, I don't want to say trademarked, but I don't think it is. There's something about like there's a reason why like you could there if you're outside of a certain area you cannot call it derby pie. When I worked at my college Berea, Kentucky's restaurant, we had what we call race day pie. It was essentially derby pie, but it was called race day pie because we couldn't call it derby pie. No, but it was the same thing. And I'm reading derby pie now, and I'm like, oh, it's like rich, gooey chocolate and nut pie, similar to pecan pie, but traditionally made with walnuts, created in Kentucky in the 1950s, and often associated with the Kentucky Derby. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. But it's my flavors from the familiarity, and I don't get, especially the derby pie, I don't get nearly as much as often. But pecan is almost always available somewhere, some way, shape, or form. I actually just had one for my birthday, like back in October. We went to a not Texas, Brazilian steakhouse, and one of the desserts that they had was pecan pie.
Yeah.
It was really good.
Nice.
I know Jeff's
course-
not a fan. I can see his face.
Of course, we have to have some honorable mentions.
And Jeff's got
Yeah.
several.
Someone
developed
got a little
list.
carried away.
So honorable mentions: grasshopper pie, of course.
Shocker.
And for those of you not in the know, grasshopper pie is referring to the alcoholic beverage, the grasshopper, not the insect.
Yes.
It's like a meat pie, essentially.
Right. So all it is like marshmallows, whipped cream, a shot of cream de cocoa, cream de mint in a chocolate crumb crust. It's essentially no bake.
Yeah.
I mean, you still have to melt the marshmallows and make it into its ooey gooiness, and then fold it into the whipping cream to make it fluffy. But it's delicious. I actually made one for Thanksgiving when I was in Minnesota. And the critique that I got from my sister was, you didn't put in enough booze. I measured it with 1 ounce a shot, and she really wanted like the 1.5 ounces a shot.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny because when you said that, I was like, that sounds like a very Midwest thing.
Yeah.
Hashtag truth.
Like,
wait,
I can't argue with that point.
Right. Like we are proud of our food and our heritage and our culture. And how dare you not have enough alcohol in that?
But you know, I'm very particular about trying to measure properly. I really treat sometimes, well, most of the time, not all the time, but most of the time, I try to treat cooking like more like chemistry, which essentially that's what cooking is.
Yeah.
It's a form of chemistry.
Baking especially is very chemistry driven. You know, weights and measurements.
It's why you weigh your flour, not measure it by volume. Anyways, I wanted to put an honorable mention about pot pies in general.
Ah.
So you specifically mentioned the chicken pot pie, but there's turkey
I
pot
did.
pie, there's beef pot pies, there's other types of pot pies. So you can do different types of main material pot pies. And they're all pretty good in their own different ways.
You're kidding me. Apparently there's a salmon pot pie. I was like, is there a fish related pot pie?
Yeah.
Like, apparently you can. I was like, yeah, apparently you can.
I mean, in essence, for our listeners and viewers out there, if you're not aware, in essence, a pot pie is a really good soup or stew or chowder in a pie crust.
Yeah,
in essence,
yeah. No, like, that's fact. That's fact.
So I mean, it's like if you could think of something that's a really good soup, like you could put that in a crust and ta-da! You made a pot pie, basically.
It has to have, but it can't be like, you can't put like a wedding soup.
Oh yeah.
In a pot
pie.
It needs to be thicker. Thickness. I mean, gravy.
Yes,
thicker.
Gravy at least. So.
Thick.
Before you stick it in there, it's got to be thick.
That's what he said. Anyways.
I did. David.
And then moving on to another category, just hen pies in general. Sweet, savory, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Empanadas I also put on here, but that's basically a type of savory hand pie.
Yeah.
And then my two kind of contentious ones. The first one is cheesecake. Which is more of a pie than it is an actual cake. When you think about it, how much flour or dough is in cheesecake?
Yeah. I mean,
yeah, it holds its own shape because it's using like cream cheese as kind of like the base. That's why it's called cheesecake. But because it usually only has a bottom crust and not the sides, I think is one of the reasons why people refer to it more as a cake. But it still has a crust versus because cakes do not have crust, right?
Yeah. So despite its name, cheesecake is technically not a cake, but rather a custard, tart, or pie. It lacks the flour-based airy structure of a traditional cake, think AI, featuring a pressed crumb crust and a dense custard-like filling.
Americans are weird, so we don't like eating cheese pie, so we call it cheesecake.
It's fine. It's cheesecake is a type of pie. You know, it has the word cake, but usually when it's written is also written as one word versus being a cheese cake. It is a cheesecake. So that's where the differentiation and where people get a little confused is because the word cake is part of the word. Another contentious one, the Chicago deep dish pizza. Because of the way it's made, it is not like a Detroit deep dish or any other type of deep dish. It's just a really, thick crusted pizza. A Chicago deep dish is literally a pie. Just the filling is pizza ingredients. Unlike a standard pizza baked on a stone or flat sheet, deep dish is built in a high-sided oiled steel pan. It creates a literal crust wall that functions as a container for the fillings, much like a pie or a quiche. The dough is unique in that it's often enriched with butter, oil, or cornmeal, making it a crumbly, short texture that is closer to a savory short crust pastry than the chewy, airy, yeasty, heavy dough of a New York slice. Thank you, Gemini. Also, the sauce goes on top.
Oh, I don't. Shit.
I'm gonna let that go.
I don't disagree, but I agree, and I don't. Like
It's a bit contentious.
yes, yeah. Like I
But-
wouldn't. But it kind of But
because I like pizza, and I have not had authentic Chicago deep dish. I will admit that.
Oh.
The only Chicago deep dish I've ever had was way back in, I think it was the 90s. Pizza Hut actually had a Chicago deep dish pizza, and I remember it was like an inch or two thick, like pan that it came in.
Oh wow!
I mean, it was deep and it was delicious. And this is something you do not eat by hand.
No,
You do not eat a Chicago deep dish by hand.
Fair.
So, which is another reason why I would call it a pie. Although hand pies you still eat by hand, but that's another matter altogether. All right, that's my list. Gary.
I just have a variation on one of Damon's, pecan maple bourbon. So it is a pecan pie, but it has maple syrup and bourbon in it. So it's not quite as cloyingly sweet as what most people think of as a pecan pie.
right.
I think those elements kind of help balance that a little bit more. The maple replaces a little bit of the sugar. And of course, the bourbon, does its thing. So I kind of have to be in the mood for that. But I'm also one of those people that's like, ooh, that's different. Or that's not the, usual if I see it on like a restaurant menu or something. So that's what will draw me to get that.
Yeah.
Damon?
So I'm a little surprised that Gary didn't mention this one because he's the one that got me thinking about it. But it is banoffee pie.
Mm-hmm.
So banana, coffee. Yeah, so a restaurant, Cooper's Hawk, if you know the restaurant, I think they have chains, but there's a couple here in Cincinnati, and they have on their menu regularly a banoffee pie, and almost every time I go, I have it, and it is so good, and it almost was my fave. That's why I wanted to mention it here because it is one that if I like kind of what you were saying, Gary, if I see it on the menu, I almost always will order it if I want dessert or if I'm in the mood for dessert or if I'm hungry enough for dessert. Because it just has it's a unique flavor that I don't often get or think about unless I see it.
Yeah. I mean, and there's lots of variations in American pies, I will say, that have some common kind of flavor elements to them. Like I was just thinking about strawberry rhubarb. I've had some really good versions of that, but I've also had some not so good versions. So yeah, it can be a little tricky when it comes to some pies. Like recently I had blueberry pie, I think for one of the first times ever in my life.
Wow.
Well, because I realized like I don't dislike blueberries, but they're not my go-to. So like if you offered me like blueberry pancakes or blueberry muffin, like or blueberry, bread, I'm like, like it just doesn't move me. So I remember having this was the thing at work, and I had this I've never laughed so hard in my life, like not out loud, but like everyone was like, I just need a little sliver because there were so many pies and everybody wanted to try something.
Right.
No one wanted a normal slice or even like a half. So like everyone's cutting these like little slivers so they can have a taste of different things. It's very amusing to me.
Yeah. I agree though. I am a fan. Like that like the idea of coming into a place and there being like all of these different types of pies and like so many people like, being like, oh,
Okay,
so
so one of my
today,
all-time favorite childhood memories. There's a restaurant. Well, it was a chain. It was franchises. There's still a few left, even though the main company unfortunately had to go bankrupt. Called Perkins here
Oh,
yeah,
in Pennsylvania.
oh,
yeah,
When I was a
Perkins.
kid, the one that was closest to us, you would walk in, and next to the little counter, because they only had like a 4 or 6 seat counter, but next to the counter was a rotating fridge chilled dessert display. It was
oh my,
circular. It was like a tower, and it had like
oh,
probably 6 layers in it. And I had like mostly pies, but also some cake. And it would slowly like rotate. Of course, I had, the
mm-hmm.
fluorescent bulbs like showing on it. Oh my God. I was so mysticized by that. Like as a child, I was like,
Yeah, the Perkins. I didn't get the Perkins until I moved here,
"Mhm,
and there was Perkins near the Northern Kentucky University. I think it's gone now, but they didn't have the circular like rotating thing, but they had like basically the long counter like glass
mhm,
counter with all the
mhm."
different pies and such in it.
Yeah.
Fun
Yeah.
fact:
Mhm.
when
Yes.
during high school and a little bit after, me and my friends would. That's where Perkins was our late night hangout.
Mm,
Mhm.
We didn't necessarily get pie, but
yeah.
it has I have fond memories of late nights at Perkins.
Yeah.
Yeah. For those
Man.
that don't know what a Perkins is, if you've ever been to a Denny's, it's kind
Yeah.
of like that. It's a little more restaurant than diner
Yeah.
aspect. They've been around for a good number of decades. In Pennsylvania, another like similar thing that a lot of people think about is called Eaton Park, which is based out of Pittsburgh and has grown quite a bit. I used to work for them actually at one time. Yeah, so like the dessert case thing, to Damon's point, like a lot of it's been more traditional. It's like a beveled or curved glass front, or a square glass front. Yeah, I don't really see the rotating display cases anymore, which is really disappointing because they're really kind of magical to just watch food like kind of travel around. And part of the whole issue is that it's an ooh shiny, like it's lit and the stuff is moving and
Uh-huh.
it draws your attention and you're busy waiting to get a table and to get the server, like the hostess or whatever. So of course, like look at all the things that you could have.
I
Right.
think Marie calendars might be another analogy for uh, Perkins.
Yeah. I've
It's
Like
got
as a
probably
some.
more.
restaurant.
Yeah, Marie calendars has restaurants. There was one in Austin.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Actually, I
Huh.
think it started as restaurants
Hmm.
and
Makes
bakery
sense.
restaurants. So
Interesting. So yeah,
It is a chain. Huh. Didn't know that. Huh.
yeah, pie has a special place in my heart. I've always been like,
Ew.
ew, what?
Sorry. The logo, the Marie Calendar logo on the for the restaurant is very different than what I know, and it threw me off. Sorry, random aside. Sorry. I
David
know
about
it.
nostalgia and like preference of pie. You're like, ew. And I was like, David, how many times in the years we've been doing this podcast do we say don't yuck the yum?
Anyway,
Yeah, that's fair.
and with
sorry.
that, I think we're all craving pie right now. Are you
Kind of.
craving pie? I hope you're craving pie. Or maybe not. Depends on where you are. Anyways, thank you for listening to our rant about pies and me being contentious about things that might be considered a pie. In fact, looking at the art, I think we have a tart.
A tart.
Yeah, right below me.
Listen, it's technically the pie you don't like.
It's a pecan tart.
Oh, brother, here we go.
With that being said,
Anyways.
Hey, I hope for next year we've given you lots of ideas to consider when Pi Day comes around next March. There's lots of ways to celebrate. And you could practice on the 14th of every month for the next 11 months to come. You can have a pie.
Maybe we should put my recipe for grasshopper pie in the show notes. Bonus. In any case, there's plenty of ways to contact us to let us know what your favorite pie is. Savory, sweet, otherwise. I don't think there's any otherwise, but here we are. You can do that in many ways, such as going to our website, cubsoutloud.com, shoot us an email, cubsoutloud@gmail.com, leave us voicemail at 361-CWALL-TALK, that's 361-265-8255, following us on the various social media platforms at Blue Sky, Facebook, Tumblr, and YouTube at Cubs Out Loud, the appropriate place, the URL. You can join our Entourage chat on Telegram at bit.ly/telegram-COL. You can find out when we're planning on recording these shows, and we know ourselves at bit.ly/calendar-COL. Get various accoutrements, such as a flexibility for accessibility, and now that you're sticky, here's your cookie, which is actually probably the most appropriate for this show. Second most appropriate is the made to be, where you be made to be licked, paired, shared, spooned, and loved. Aww. All that's over on zazzle.com/cubsoutloud. Some of those designs were designed by Smashy. You can find more of his work at tpublic.com/user/SmashyTheBear. You can also support us by becoming a patron at patreon.com/cubsoutloud or sending us a donation, one-time donation at paypal.me/cubsoutloud. You can find us on the various podcasting platforms such as Apple Podcasts, Amazon, and Spotify. You can find me on the internet as BoxCub. Damon.
if you wish to get in touch with me, you can find me at TheaterCub79. That's TheaterCub79, and most of the related sites are on someplace else. Or you can find me as PupUmbra79 on Blue Sky. That Blue Sky is not safe for work. For safe for work, you want DMA Gamer79 on Blue Sky or TikTok. Getty.
If you would like to get in touch with me, you can pretty much find me anywhere online as Gerber73.
And with that, say goodnight, everybody.
Night, everybody.
Go enjoy some pie.
Yum, yum.